It's time for another edition of Lost in Sports History, where we tell you a story about someone in sports history that you probably should know about, but you probably don't. Before anything else, don't forget to go to my Patreon, patreon.com/taughtOnSports. If you want to support videos like this one, you can do so at patreon.com/taughtOnSports. Every little bit helps, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on this video right down below. In America, there are four well-known major sports leagues: the NFL, NBA, NHL, and Major League Baseball. Famously in 1947, Jackie Robinson was the first African-American to play in Major League Baseball. But the players that broke the color barrier in the other three leagues aren't as widely known. Earl Lloyd is one of those men. Lloyd was born in Alexandria, Virginia in 1928 and graduated from segregated Parker Gray High School. After high school, he went to West Virginia State and played basketball for 4 seasons, where in 1947-48, West Virginia State went 30-0 and were the only undefeated college basketball team in America. After graduating in 1950, Lloyd was drafted in the 9th round by the Washington Capitals. Earl Lloyd wasn't the first African American to be drafted by the NBA. That was Chuck Cooper, who was drafted in the 2nd round by the Celtics. But on Halloween night of 1950, Earl Lloyd became the first African American to play in an NBA game when the Washington Capitals took on the Rochester Royals at Edgerton Park Arena. Chuck Cooper suited up for the Celtics 1 day later, and Nat Clifton made his Knicks debut 3 days after that. Earl Lloyd's career with the Capitals only lasted 7 games, and the team folded in early 1951. It was at that time that Lloyd was drafted again, this time into the United States Army, where he was stationed at Fort Sill near Lawton, Oklahoma. While at Fort Sill, Lloyd was a star for the base's 17th group basketball team, leading them to 4 tournament titles before being called into action in the Korean War. After he returned from Korea, Earl Lloyd was signed off waivers by the Syracuse Nationals, where he played for 6 seasons, and in 1955, Lloyd and his teammate Jim Tucker became the first African Americans to win an NBA championship when the Nats defeated the Pistons in 7 games. 3 years later, in 1958, Lloyd signed with the Pistons and played there until 1960. Before the 60-61 season, Lloyd decided to retire during the preseason. I'll let him tell the story as to why.
I went through training camp. I was training like I was going to play exhibition season. So at the 4th exhibition game, we played Philadelphia and Hershey, Pennsylvania. I saw Will for the first time. I said, it's time to go.
Earl Lloyd went on to become the first black assistant coach in NBA history and was nearly hired as the first black head coach in 1965. But the Pistons instead gave the job to Dave DeBusschere, naming him player coach. Lloyd was a scout for the Pistons, where he helped discover talents like Earl the Pearl Monroe and Willis Reed. He did eventually get his chance to be a head coach in the NBA in 1971 with the Pistons. He was the 3rd African-American head coach, but he was the first that wasn't a player coach. Earl Lloyd was relieved of his duties just 7 games into the 72-73 season after posting a 22-55 overall record. After his career in basketball, Lloyd was an executive at Chrysler, supervised youth sports leagues in Detroit, and helped counsel students in the Detroit public school system. In 2014, a statue of Earl Lloyd was unveiled at his alma mater, West Virginia State, and every year since, the Yellow Jackets have opened their season by hosting the Earl Lloyd Classic at the Walker Convocation Center. In early 2015, less than a year after his statue was unveiled, Earl Lloyd passed away at the age of 86 in Crossville, Tennessee. Here's to the trailblazers like Earl Lloyd, who has been lost in sports history.